कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा यशोधानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोधानंद यशोधानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोधा यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव हरे कृष्ण। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवतीर्नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Canto number 6, chapter 9, text 38. The chapter is entitled The Appearance of the Demon Vritrasura. Sayeva hi, actually this is not in a meter which can be sung, so I will just read and Sayeva hi punah sarva vastuni वस्तु स्वरूप सर्वेश्वरः सकल जगत कारण कारणभूतः सर्वपृथक् आत्मवात् आत्मवात् सर्वगुणाभासो फलक्षित एक एव पर्यवस्थितः स एव हि पुनः पुनः सर्ववस्तुनि वस्तुस्वरूपः सर्वेश्वरः सकल जगत कारण कारणभूतः सर्वपृथक् आत्मवत् सर्व गुणाभासो पलाक्षितम् एक एव पर्यवशेषितः स एव हि पुनः सर्ववस्तुनि वस्तुस्वरूपः सर्वेश्वरः सकल जगत कारण कारणभूतः सर्वपृथक् आत्मवात् सर्वगुणाभासो पलक्षित एक एव पर्यवशेषितः. Word for word meaning Saha, he, the supreme personality of Godhead. Eva, indeed. He, certainly. Punaha, again. Sarva vastuni, in everything material and spiritual. Vastu Swarupaha, the substance. Sarveshwaraha, the controller of everything. Sakala Jagat, of the whole universe. Karana, of the causes. Karana Bhutaha, existing as the cause. Sarva Pratak Atmavat, being, because of being the super soul of every living being, or being present in everything, even the atom. Sarva Guna, of all the effects of the material modes of nature, such as intelligence and the senses. Abhasa, by the manifestation. Upalakshitaha, perceived. Ekaha, alone. Eva, indeed. Paryavaseshitaha, left remaining. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. With deliberation, one will see that the supreme soul, although manifested in different ways, is actually the basic principle of everything. The total material energy is the cause of material manifestation, but the material energy is caused by him. Therefore, he is the cause of all causes, the manifester of intelligence and the senses. He is perceived as the super soul of everything. Therefore, everything. Without him, everything would be dead. You, as that super soul, the supreme controller, are the only one remaining. Purport. The word Sarva Vastuni Vastu Swarupaha indicate that the Supreme Lord is the active principle of everything. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.35, Ekopyasau rachayitum jagadanda kotim yat shaktirasti jagadanda chayaya dandam andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of God at Govinda, who enters the existence of every universe and every atom by one of his plenary portions and thus manifests his infinite energy throughout the material creation. By his one plenary portion as Paramatma, Antaryami, the Lord is all-pervading throughout the unlimited universes. He is the Prithak or Antaryami of all living entities. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 13.3, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. O scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all the bodies. Because the Lord is the super soul, he is the active principle of everything, every living entity and even the atom. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. He is the actual reality. According to various stages of intelligence, one realizes the presence of the Supreme in everything through the manifestation of his energy. The entire world is permeated by the three gunas and one can understand his presence according to one's modes of material nature. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvise Namaham He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'll read the translation. With deliberation, one will see that the Supreme Soul, although manifested in different ways, is actually the basic principle of everything. The total material energy is the cause of material manifestation, but the material energy is caused by Him. Therefore, He is the cause of all causes, the manifester of intelligence and the senses. He is perceived as a super soul of everything. Without Him, everything would be dead. You, as that super soul, the supreme controller, are the only one remaining. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone for the Bhagavatam class. So, before I start, I seek the blessings of all the devotees so that I'll be able to speak properly on this very exalted topic. So today, basically the whole, this currently what we are reading is about the prayers of the Devatas, demigods praying to the Lord. So as we know, what is happening is Vritrasura has appeared by the Tvashta has invoked Vritrasura and Vritrasura has come. It's very huge form. Vritra means Avritam we say, no? Vritra is covering. So he is covering the entire world, entire universe, so he is called Vritrasura. So now all the Devatas are terrified by his, by this powerful Vritrasura, and they all pray to the Lord. So what we see in this chapter is they all pray to the Lord to come and protect them. They are praying for their protection. And then the Lord appears, okay? And then after the Lord's appearance, again they offer prayers. So that is where we are currently in, okay? Where they glorify the Lord in various ways. Okay? So what we will do today is we will discuss on the aspiration and expectations of different types of devotees. Different types of devotees. Who are the different types of devotees and what are their aspirations and expectations from the Lord? Okay? Because here we see Devatas and we see so many prayers in the Bhagavatam, various sections. And then after that we will discuss on the today's this verse, specific verse and the purport, what Prabhupada talks about, where mainly the how the Lord is the super soul of everything and how is the basic principle of everything, is the cause of all causes and is the super soul of everything. So this is the main and the supreme controller. So this is the main theme here. So we will discuss that, and at the end we will also see the sort of the great devotees of Vrindavan, how they, the mood of the exalted devotees of Vrindavan, how they perceive Lord also. So this is what we will discuss today. Okay, so we see in the Bhagavatam also there are various prayers. So if you see here, Devatas are in trouble. The problem that they want to, this Vritrasura how he can be handled, because he is so huge, and so they were quite bewildered and they pray to the Lord. And what is their prayer? As we see before, and even later also it comes. They pray to the Lord, "Oh Lord, you have appeared in various forms like this, and you have killed the demons. So please also come and destroy the demons, destroy this Vritrasura, who is a problem for us." Correct? So mainly their problem or their difficulty, they are petitioning the Lord, "You please solve this problem." Okay? And you can then go back to your own activity. So that is what is their prayer. So we see so many prayers in the Bhagavatam. For example, you see the prayers of Gajendra. So Gajendra, even though we say Gajendra is the category of Arthaha, right? Artharthi. So, but actually the prayers what we see is quite, that is also quite exalted. So what Gajendra says, I'll just read that. Gajendra says, "I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from the attack of the crocodile. What is the use of an elephant's body covered externally and internally by ignorance? I simply desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. That covering is not destroyed by the influence of time." So he is praying that you release me from this, but after that I don't want to live further. I want to get released from this, not only from this crocodile, but from this, I do not wish to live anymore. So I want to get liberated from this particular condition. So that is what Gajendra is praying. So here we see the Devatas praying for the Lord to solve their immediate problem, and that is what they want. whereas Gajendra we see, is praying that, you just don't release me from this crocodile, release me from the cycle of birth and death. So that is what we see. And then of course we hear the more exalted prayers like prayers of Queen Kunti, where she says, what she says, Vipadas Santu Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Yat Shat Apunarbhava Darshanam. So which is unimaginable for us, where she says that, give me more problems so that during the time of problem we can take shelter of you, right? That is how she prays. So this is how we see the various different prayers in Bhagavatam itself. And then, of course, the best attitude, what is taught by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas is, what is how to handle sort of suffering or difficulty or problems. So the famous verse is, Tattenu Kampam Susumikshamano. So where the devotee, what should be his mood is, that whatever difficulty comes, he says it is because of my own past reaction, and Lord has minimized and given me as a token punishment. And then be patient and sort of seek, being very hopeful that Lord will shower His mercy. So in that way, one should continue one's devotion service. So that is what is the a mood in which we should see the problems and difficulties. So that is what is done. So now we will see like to discuss from Bhagavad Gita. You see in Bhagavad Gita, we all know this famous shloka, 7.16. Chaturvida bhajante mam janasukriti arjuna arto jigyasu artharthi jnanishya barashasha. So we will discuss this 7.16 and then the later 8th chapter also, based on the commentary of Sripad Ramanujacharya, Gita Bhashyam. Very interesting way how he explains. So we all know this shloka, Chaturvida bhajante mam janasukriti arjuna arto jigyasu artharthi and jnani, right? So how he classifies this is, first is artha, artho is what? Artho is distressed, right? And then artharthi is one who wants to acquire new wealth or opulence, right? And then jigyasu and jnani. So how Ramanujacharya classifies this is, the first one is distress, right? So the distress is what he calls as nashta aishwarya kaman. That means he had got some aishwarya, doesn't mean only wealth. It means all the aishwarya is like, all the five senses, how we enjoy this world. Basically, want to enjoy this different, enjoy matter in a more nice way. That is what is aishwarya. So he is called as nashta aishwarya kaman. That means he had some aishwarya earlier, but he has now lost. So he is praying to the Lord, please, I am in great distress, please. Like we see the devatas also. They are under attack. And then the second one is artharthi, what he calls as apurva aishwarya kaman. That means both are aishwarya kaman. They want to enjoy opulence enjoy matter basically, all the different sense objects. But the artharthi is one who want to acquire a new aishwaryam. Okay, so that's the difference. So both are in one category, you can say, aishwarya arthi, or one who is seeking after aishwaryam. And the second is this artho artharthi jigyasu. So jigyasu is explained as kaivalya arthi. Kaivalya arthi means one who wants to enjoy his own atma. Right? What we say, right? Generally, one wants to merge into the impersonal. So he understands, I am not the body, I am Atma, but want to experience only Atma and enjoy in that way. So this is called as Kaivalya Arthi, right? Even our Acharyas say this. There is this famous shloka, right? Prabodhananda Saraswati. Kaivalyam narakayate, tridasha pura akasha pushpayate, right? No, that shloka is there. So, so this is the third category. So this Jigyasu is categorized as the Kaivalya Arthi. And the fourth one, Jnani, is Bhagavan Labharti, or as we know, this Jnani is not that impersonal Jnani or Jnana Yogi. This Jnani is a devotee, right? Because Krishna says in the next shloka itself that Tesham Jnani Nitya Yuktaha Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate, right? He gives two prefixes. One is Nitya Yukta, he is always connected. Because if we see the other category, Aishwarya Arthi, once this is over, he goes back and then comes back again, correct? That's how it is. So, and then this Kaivalya Arthi also, he takes the Lord, he takes the help of the Lord to purify himself, and but he do not want the Lord, he wants only Atma Anubhavam, right? That is what is the Kaivalya Arthi. Whereas this third category, Bhagavan Labharti, is the one who is really interested in only in the Lord. I don't want anything, I want only to serve you. So that is what is the Jnani, fourth category. Artho, Jigyasur, Arthati, Jnani, they are categorized into these three groups, Aishwarya Arthi, Kaivalya Arthi, and Bhagavan Labharti. Okay, that's how it is. So very beautifully, in the 8th chapter, so the same group, these three groups of categories of devotees, whom Krishna says. So what is the 8th chapter? Attaining the Supreme, right? So what of course, Krishna answers the questions of Arjuna in the initial few verses. So after that, actually there is a beautiful work of Yamunacharya called as Gita Artha Sangraham. Okay, so that is like for every chapter he has one verse summarizing the entire chapter. So what he says in this is, for the 8th chapter, Aishwarya Akshara Yatatmya Bhagavat Charanartinam Vedo Upadeya Bhavanam Ashtame Beda Uchate. That means, what is this 8th chapter summary? So very beautiful. What he says, Aishwarya, Veda, a difference between Veda Upadeya Bhavanam. That means the things to be known and practiced. What is to be known and what they should practice of these 3 categories of devotees. First is Aishwarya. What is that to be desired by the Aishwarya? How the Aishwaryarthi should worship the Lord. Okay? How he should practice, what practice he should do. And then Akshara Yatatmya. That means one who desires the experience of the Jiva in the pure form. One who wants to experience, I am the Jivatma. That experience you have. So that is the Kaivalyarthi, second category. So Aishwarya, Akshara Yatatmya, Bhagavat Charanartinam. And the third one is who wants to desire to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is the third category. So Veda Upadeya Bhavanam. That means what is they should know and how they should worship me. That is what Krishna says. How they should practice, how they should remember me. That is what he says in the 8th chapter. Okay, so if you see in the 8th chapter, Krishna talks about first answer the questions. So even there also, I will not go into that. He answers the various questions, the different questions which Arjuna asked about, Kim Tat Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam and all those things. So we will go to this 8th shloka, 8, 9 and 10. It is said, Krishna answers the Aishwaryarthi, what he should know and practice. So we have heard this shloka. I will read some from the purport also. Abhyasa, Paramam Purusham Divyam Yadi Partha Anuchintayan, he says, right? After that, in the 8th chapter, 9th shloka. So, Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram. So, this verse is there, right? So, this is how Krishna says, this is how Aishwaryarthi. That means one who wants to have Aishwarya. Aishwarya doesn't mean just wealth or money, because these are all, understand, these are all devotees. All these 3 categories of devotees, but this devotee wants only Aishwarya. He wants to enjoy all the Hare Krishna. Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So this, how he wants, Krishna says how he should remember me. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyamcha Manusmaredhyah Sarvasya Dataram Achintya Rupam Adityavaranam Tamasa Parastha. I will just read few things from Prabhupada's purport. So, Kavi means, Kavi doesn't mean poet or anything. Here, Kavi means who is this, is the old, who is the knower of everything, Sarvagya, that is the meaning. Kavim, Puranam is the oldest. Okay, so one who is knower of everything is Sarvagya, he knows everything, and he is the oldest personality. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram, and who is the person who is the supreme controller. And then, how he controls, how he controls is Anoraniyam. He enters into every living entity as Paramatma, as Antaryami, and then controls. Correct? We read, right? Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastha. So he enters into every living entity and he controls all of us. Okay? Controls every living entity. So that is why he is called Anoraniyan, because Atma itself is very, very tiny. Prabhupada mentions here. See, he is the smallest of the smallest. The living entity is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the air, but the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of that particle. Okay? So that's so. So Anoranaraamya Anusmaredyam Sarvasya Dataram. And not only that, he is the maintainer of everyone. Sarvasya Dataram Achintya Rupam. He cannot be, is beyond all material conception and inconceivable. And Aditya Varnam. He is most effulgent, luminous like the sun. And is transcendental, beyond this material nature. So this is how the Aishwarya Arati should meditate. That's what Krishna says. So the Aishwarya Arati, Aishwarya Kami, this is how we should. And Prayana Kali. So all this has to be remembered at the time of death. So at the time of death means what? One has to practice throughout life, correct? Then only one can meditate at the time of death, right? Otherwise it's not suddenly at the time of death it is possible. So and then further, Prayana Kali, Manasacha, all those things he says. Okay, so this is how, if you see also, all these qualities are more towards that, how the Lord is the supreme controller, how is the, that's the main sort of, you can say, the main theme or the main sort of attitude of this Aishwarya Arati. And similar we see here also. Anyway, we'll come to this. So, this is how the first category of Aishwarya Arati. Okay. And then, of course, he has to, he leaves this body like that, he says, like, yeah, he's fixing the air between the eyebrows and all those things. And then 11, 12 and 13, he talks about the Kaivalya Arati. So, Yad Aksharam Veda Vido Vadanti, that shloka, which Krishna says. So, there, what is the main theme? The Kaivalya Arati, he sees that Lord is Aksharam, that means Lord is indestructible, unchangeable. Okay, that is he is permanent, he is, as a Paramatma, he cannot be destroyed, he is permanent, he is unchangeable, right? So this is what he meditates, okay, because that is how he meditates on the Lord. And then, Vitaraga, giving up all attachment, Ichataha Brahmacharyam Charanti, he follows celibacy and also, not only celibacy, Brahmacharya also means, he follows various paths to attain the Brahman, Brahmacharya, right, to attain him. And then he says, Sarva Dvarani Samyamya, controlling all the different senses, Manohridi Nirudhyacha, fixing the mind and the heart, that means fixing on the Paramatma. Sat constantly meditates through me, and then he through the Murdhini Adhyatma Pranam. So all these things he explains. Okay, this is for the Kaivalya Arati. And then for the devotee, for the Aishwarya, for the Bhagavan Lavarti, that is at 8.14. Ananya Chetaha Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha. So this is very beautiful, where it is said two attributes are told here. Okay. One is Nityashaha, that means always. That means since the devotee has started practicing that to attain the Lord, from that time, and Satatam, always, continuously. It's not that I am taking a break for some time, continuously. Okay. So Nityashaha and Satatam, what he does, Ananya Chetaha, not thinking anything else. Okay. Because generally what happens, we think so many different things, right? In between we think of the Lord, right? Sometime, right? But this category of devotee, what Krishna is talking about, is Ananya Cheta, always thinking of pure devotees. Yomam Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. So for them, Krishna says, most easily they will achieve me. See, generally what we will think, Aishwarya Arati is something, in the preliminary stage, and then Kaivalya Arati, Bhagavan Labharti means that must be most difficult. But Krishna says, no, that is the most easiest actually. Because I will make things easier for you. That's what Krishna says. Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. I will make things very easy for you because I have great love for you. So I will make things very, very easy for you. Okay. And Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha. Okay. So that's what he says. And Tasyaham, that means if you see all other things, what is explained is they get various things. But here Krishna says, attains me directly. He's not like the Aishwarya or the Kaivalya Arati. Okay. So that's how it is explained. By giving this, like Krishna says later chapters, right? Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenama upayantite. And also tesham yava anukam partha maham agyanajam tamaha. So by that Krishna says, I personally make things very easy for that devotee. So that's how he explains. So this is the three things what we see of Aishwarya Arati, Kaivalya Arati and Bhagavan Labharti. So this is how Ramanujacharya and Yamunacharya explains this. So just another beautiful thing, one of the Alvars, the Periyalvar, who is the father of Andal, is called Vishnu Chittam. Okay? Very great devotee. So, I will not get into the story, but as we know, what happens is this Pandya king, he calls for all the scholars and everyone to come and prove who is the supreme, what is the supreme absolute truth, what one should do. So, Lord comes in his dream and he says, no, you go and prove me that I am the supreme. So, he says, no, I am only used to make garlands for you. Okay, he says, no, go and I will make all arrangements. So what happens? He goes and establishes how Lord is the supreme. And then what happens? The king puts him in a big elephant and takes him in a procession, like a victory procession. No? So it is said at that time, Lord comes in the Garuda Vahan. See, just like, for example, if suppose our children, someone is, or any relative is performing something or getting the first prize, parents will come, right? Obviously, right? My son is getting the first prize, we'll come and see. So like that, since he's such a great devotee, he is being honored. Lord wanted to see wanted to see this. So it is said, Lord comes in Garuda Vahana and to see this. And then Periyalvar views this sight. And what happens? So this is very beautiful. So he is in a mood where in Tamil it is called as Pongum Parivu. That means he is like a overflowing sort of mood of love for the Lord. Like Vatsalya Bhava we say, right? Like what he says is he feels that bad eye should not fall on the Lord. So he sings, there are some 12 verses called as Tirupalland. This is how the Divya Pravanam starts. Palland means he blesses the Lord, you live for many hundreds and thousands and crores of years. So like that he blesses that you live for many thousands and thousands of years. Like this he blesses him. So in that context, there are 12 verses where he blesses the Lord and Mahalakshmi and his Shankachakra and everything. And then what he does is, he also calls various group of devotees. So first he calls this pure devotees, like what is called as Ananya Prayojana, or this is what we call as the Bhagavan Labharti, what we spoke about, right? He calls such pure devotees and he takes him, and then he calls this Kaivalya Arati also. He says, you give up your, before you give up this body, give up this mentality, come and join with us. Give up that mentality of Atma Anubhavam and join us. Because generally this Kaivalya Arati are alone, right? They don't mix with devotees. We don't see great, this Atma Anubhavam, they will not mix with devotees like, there is nothing like Bodhayanta Parasparamanda. So he says, give up and join us. And the third category is the Aishwarya Arati. That means who want to enjoy. So he calls them also. He says, don't give up that, come and join with us. Okay. And then next 3 verses, he says they have come, and then the last 3 verses, they all, in a purified state, they all pray to the Lord. So that's how, they also bless the Lord. So that is why he is called Periyalva. Periya means big in Tamil. It's called Periyalva. So just I will talk about this particular verse where he calls this Aishwarya Arati, because that's our theme, right? So what he says is that in that verse, he says, Andakulat Kadipadi Agi. So what he says is, this, as I said, there are 2 types of Aishwarya Arati, right? Artoha and Artharati. So one personality, how he addresses Andakulat Kadipadi Agi. He says like, Andadipataye Namaha. He praises the Lord, Andadipataye Namaha. Andadipataye Namaha. It means who is the source of, who is the owner of all the Andas, all the millions of universes. Like that he prays. So how the Acharyas explained there, why they pray like that? Because they are like this Artharti. That means what do you call it as Apurva Aishwarya Kama. They want something new. Like for example, suppose someone has got a basket of fruits or some say lemons. Okay, lemons, and you say, oh, you are a person with a basket full of lemons. So what a wonderful thing, you have got such a nice thing. That means what? Please give me also something, correct? No? That's what indirectly it means. So like that, this what they say, Andadipataye Namaha, Andadipataye Namaha, like that they pray. So this Aishwarya Arati, like as we saw, that their mood is that, oh Lord, you are the supreme, you are the source of everything, you are the greatest and everything, just to give me also something, from that. So that is what is this particular type of Aishwarya Arati. And Anda Kulatta Kadipadi Age Asura Rirak Kadari. So another thing what he says is, again category, what they say is, Asura Shatrave Namaha. Asura means one who has killed all the Asuras and the demons. So that is what we see in this section also, right? A few verses before, and it comes later also, where the demigods, the Devatas continuously pray that, how you have killed various demons and all those things. So like that, they pray that Andadipataye Nama is the first one which we saw, which is like a Apurva Aishwarya Kaman, that Artharti. The second one is Ashura Shatrave Namaha. They are like one who had problem and want to solve the problem, right? So that's how he addresses also very beautifully. So this is how this Alvar also prays like this. In fact, there is one more Alvar who says very beautifully, Eluvar Vidai Kolvar. So he, basically what he says is, the first Aishwarya Kaman is someone who is like the one who comes, and once his job is fulfilled, he gets up and walks out. Okay, and later when there is problem, again comes. Okay, so that is what is the Aishwarya Arati. And the second category, so that means he gets up whenever the problem is resolved, he goes away and later comes back. And then the second category is Kaivalya Arati, is he uses the Lord for his purification, just like we use soap and or can say cow dung to purify substance. Like that, he uses the Lord for purifying himself. But what is his goal? His goal is not the Lord. His goal is Atma Anubhavam. I am Atma. So what he does, he just permanently leaves from the Lord. Okay? But the third one is who is constantly there, like what we see in Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. So that's how it is. The great Alvars, they also relish this. So, so we saw these 3 categories of devotees, how their aspirations and their practices are different, how they approach the Lord and meditate on the Lord. So now, so this is what we see. Now we see the Devatas more in this category of, so that is why they address the Lord in a certain way, particular way also like that. So now, coming to us, we can see, so once one Maharaj was telling very nicely, see obviously we are in a pure devotional path, right, in a Sampradaya, pure devotional path. That means the aspirations what our Acharya has given are very pure. Correct? It's not the other things. So when Maharaj used to tell that we are in a pure devotional path, pure devotional line, but we are not pure devotees. Okay. So we should not mistake that always, because many times we see in Prabhupada about devotees, you need not do this, devotees, do this, they are beyond everything like that. Correct? We keep seeing this. So we should not mistake that Prabhupada is talking about us only. So Because aspiration is great. What we have been given is great, but what is our internal aspiration and expectation from the Lord, right? So just, it is said generally when we are at difficulty, like that time the reality comes out. Okay? There is a short story of Tenali Rama story, where there is one person who is a linguist who speaks so many languages. So he comes to the Sabha and he challenges that, I can speak so many languages so proficiently, you cannot find out what is my mother tongue. Okay, so many different scholars come and speak, and he speaks so proficiently, they can make out what is his real mother tongue only. Okay, so then what Tenali Rama, Krishna Deva Raya asked Tenali Rama, you do something. He said, okay, I will do something. So what happens is, on a night when he is sleeping, at that time he sends someone, there are different versions, but he sends someone and they act as if some ghost and other things have come. So he becomes so terrified, gets up and he shouts. Okay. So for example, he shouts, yo, amma, pay, I'm telling in my own mother tongue. So like that, or some version they say they pour water also, cold water, whatever it is. So at that time, what happens? So then next day morning when the Sabha comes, that time he says, this is his mother tongue. He was surprised. How did you know? Because at the time of fear or when one is in panic, right? At that time, the original things comes out, correct? So like that, for us also, even though we may know, like how this linguist knew all the languages, we may know all these things. No, this is pure devotion and this is mixed devotion, Jnana Mishra, Karma Mishra, all these things we may know. But what is our true thing will come out when actually, we are in great distress or need. At that time, what we take shelter. That is why. So it is not about, so the point what I am trying to say is, it is not that we are in the pure devotional line, that is great. But what is our state also we have to see. It means we should also aspire for the, aspire only for the Lord instead of other things. Okay? So that is a very important thing. So now coming to this verse, main points what is mentioned in this sloka is about the greatness of the Lord. So that is what we see here. The greatness of the Supreme Lord is mentioned here. One more important thing is, that doesn't mean someone prays is only like this, he is in Aishwarya category. Not necessarily. Because if you see, great devotees also praise all those aspects. But one may pray that, no, Lord, you are the source of everything, and then I want to surrender to you. That is also possible, correct? So that doesn't mean that someone prays, you are the source of everything, you are the supreme controller, everything. That means he is Aishwarya. Not necessarily like that. But generally, those category of people, that is their main, like as I told, Andadipataye Namaha. Actually, Lord is Andadipati, but he is not just owner of this entire Andana. He is actually owner of the Vaikuntha planets, spiritual world, which is much bigger, much larger, correct? But he is not concerned about that. He doesn't say, oh, Vaikuntha Nath, oh, no, he is not telling that, because his goal is only this. Within that Anda only I want to enjoy, right? That is correct. So, a point is, it is not that pure devotees will not use such things, but they are more towards the sweetness of the Lord, correct? That's how it is. So, here what we see is how the Supreme Lord is the basic principle of everything and the cause of all causes, and the super soul of everything. So, Prabhupada says in the purport, how he is super soul of all living entities as well as in the atoms also. Everything is there. So, if you see in the Western tradition, in the Western Abrahamic religion, they have this concept of what is called as transcendent and immanent. Transcendent means God is there in his abode, and he has no connection to this. He is beyond everything. He has no connection to this material creation. Okay? So that is what is primarily their what do you call it as? That is their prime philosophy. God is transcendent. He has no connection in this world only. World is there. World is a condemned place, like that. And immanence means what? Immanent means Lord has pervaded in this world. So they have some concept like, only one son of God is only, manifest as a son of God, like that. So Prabhupada used to tell, God is so great, why he has only one son? He should have many, many sons, correct? Simple logic, Prabhupada used to put this. So this immanence means what? Basically, Lord is pervaded into this world. So for us, we have this understanding where God is both transcendent as well as immanent. Correct? He is transcendental, like, this, the verse what Prabhupada quotes also, Ekopaso Rachayitam Jagadanda Koti. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. He is the owner of all the andas and everything, but also he is entering into every atoms. Right? And also we have this sloka, right? Goloka eva nivasati akilatma bhuto. That means he is transcendent. Goloka eva nivasati, but akilatma bhuto. At the same time, he is also entering into everyone's, through his Paramatma feature, Lord is entering into everyone, every atom and everything, and he is only driving everything. Okay? So that's the beauty of the Lord. So again from Bhagavad Gita, we will see a few slokas very nicely. So in the 7th chapter, 7th verse also, Krishna says, what Krishna says? Mattaha paratram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Mayi sarvam idam purotam sutre manigana eva. That means everything is resting upon me as a pearls are strung on a thread. Right? So here also we see how Lord is everything. So that is the main theme, right? Here it says how is the sort of basis of everything. That is the main point here, right? How is the basic principle of everything? So, Mayi Sarvam Idam Purotam. That means I enter into everything and I sustain everything. That's how Lord says. Okay. So, and then if you see in the 10th chapter, so this 10:20, Aham Atma Gudakesha, very beautiful shloka. So, this 10, we know this 10th chapter, Krishna explains his opulences. So, this Gitartha Sankaram itself, very nice shloka. What he says is, Swakalyana Gunanantya, Kritsna Swadhinata Matihi, Bhakti Utpatti Vivrudyartart, Vistrirna Dashamodita. In 10th chapter, what Krishna says, two main things he says. One is, Swakalyana Gunanantya, is unlimited Kalyana Guna, auspicious qualities, Krishna says. And then Kritsna Swadhinata Mati, how is the Adina, how is the controller of everything in this creation. These two things, what Krishna says through the 10th chapter, he says, summarizes. So here, we see, Aham Atma Gudakesha, the 10:20 is there, right? So, here we see Krishna is controlling everything as Paramatma. See, for example, we see there are some controller, like suppose king is controlling a kingdom or a prime minister, they are controlling. But there is a big difference how Krishna is controlling. Because the king is controlling externally, right? King or anyone we can control externally. But Krishna is the one who enters into everything and controls. Right? Quite amazing, right? So that is the meaning of the word Atma. Aham Atma Gudakesha. I will just read few things from the purport here for this verse. Prabhupada says, Krishna informs Arjuna that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation by the dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, Supreme Lord by his plenary expansion accepts the Purusha incarnation and from him everything begins. So therefore he is the Atma, the soul of the Mahat Tattva, the universal element. So the total material energy is not the cause, as we see here in this verse also. Actually, Mahavishnu enters into Mahat Tattva, and so when we have experienced that the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. Without the existence of the spiritual spark, body cannot develop. Similarly, material manifestation cannot develop unless the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters. As stated in, so then Prabhupada talks about the three Purushas and all those. So mainly what we see here is, Lord is not controlling just like a normal king controlling. He is Antaratma, Antaryami. He enters into everything and controls. Quite amazing. So that is what is Aham Atma Gudakesha. So that means further verses Krishna is going to tell that I am this, I am Indra, I am lion, I am Himalaya, right? Lot of things he says. So actually what Krishna should have told? For example, among all the animals, the prominent one is the lion, and that lion is controlled by me, or it is subservient to me, right? That is what Krishna should have told for everything, right? But actually what Krishna says, I am the lion, I am Indra, I am Himalaya, like that he says everything, right? So there it is explained very beautifully. Ramanujacharya explains that, for example, suppose we call a person, say a boy is there and you call him Shyam, okay? So Shyam is what is for the body, right? The name is given for the body only, correct? The name is given for the body. But when we say Shyam, we are not just calling the body, we are calling the person only, the Atma also, correct? Correct? So that word Shyam, it refers not only to his body, to his Atma. And ultimately, Krishna is also there as Paramatma within the heart, correct? So when you call a person Shyam or any object, goat or anything, it not only refers to that body, not only refers to the Atma, it actually refers to Krishna also. Got it, no? So in that sense, anything you can add, everything is Krishna, because Krishna is there as Antaryami, as Paramatma in everyone. Understood, no? So since Krishna is there everywhere, everything is Krishna only in that sense, correct? So in that sense, Krishna is telling that I am Indra, I am lion and everything. So how we should read it? I am controlling them as Antaryami and they are also subservient to me. That is how we should read every sort of, what Krishna, whatever he proclaims, that is how it has to be read. And then in the 7th chapter also, very beautiful, another thing Krishna says, Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasas tamasastaye. In that 7th chapter further, what Krishna says. So one may have a doubt, see, the body is dependent on the Atma to be alive. Right? Body is dependent on Atma. If Atma is not there, body is not alive. And in one sense, Atma is also dependent on the body to fulfill various things, correct? In fact, I heard an interesting point. Atma, when it is in the body, that is why it is called Atma. when it is out of the body, it is actually not, it should be called as Chetana or something. Because Atma means one who controls. As we saw now, Atma means one who enters into something and controls and also works for the benefit of that particular thing, right? Our Atma works for the benefit of the body for, correct? That's how it is, right? So that is what is Atma. So body is dependent on Atma. Atma is also dependent on the body to function and execute. So one may think Krishna is Antaryami, is sustained, so maybe he is also dependent on the world, right? Means one may think. So that is why Krishna says, Natvaham Teshu te mahi. Krishna says, I am independent. Okay, even though I am, everything depends on me, but I am independent. So that means destruction, creation, all are just as sport or just as pastime. It is not, he is not dependent on the world for that. You understood? That means Atma is dependent on the body to fulfill various things. Like that, one may think Lord is also dependent because Lord is saying, I am the Atma, I am Paramatma, I am pervaded everywhere. So, but Lord is not like that. Natvaham teshu te mayi. I am totally independent. Krishna says, I am totally independent. I don't really, like that. He says. Okay. So, and at the end, we will quickly see one more beautiful thing which I heard from Bhanu Swami Maharaj on this verse. So, about the mood of very exalted devotees of Vrindavan. So basically what we saw about Krishna's greatness, correct? So Krishna's greatness is very important to understand. Then only we can release sweetness, right? We hear this so much. But Bhanu Maharaj was talking about how the great devotees of Vrindavan, how they were so much exalted, so they had so much love for the Lord that the greatness was sort of covered over by them. Right? We all know this pastime of Yashodamai. Krishna shows the entire universe. That means he shows his greatness, how he is the source of everything. Everything he shows in the mouth. But Yashodamai is not seriously considering that at all, right? She sees some hallucination, some problem. No? Then she leaves it and then she again thinks that Krishna is my son. If I don't feed him, what will happen to him, right? So because of overwhelming love, so the greatness aspect is covered over. They are more focused on the sweetness. So this is for very exalted devotees, right? So there we also see Krishna also, if you see, Krishna wrote a letter to the gopis. You all know, right? When Uddhava goes, Krishna sends a letter. So in that letter also, Krishna, what he says? Krishna, in that letter, Krishna says, you are never separated from me, for I am the soul of all the creation. Just like the elements of nature, ether, air, fire, what are all present in every created, I am also present in everyone's mind. Life, air and the senses. And also within the physical elements and the modes of material nature. Okay, so this is what Krishna writes a letter to the gopis, who are the greatest of all devotees. Okay, so there the Acharyas explains, Maharaj was also telling how actually, purport, just I will write few lines. According to Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, apparently philosophical language of Lord's statement conceals a deeper meaning. The Supreme Lord was secretly telling the gopis that he, by the way of reciprocating their special love for him, was not only a soul of all creation, but also as a special lover. That means, we hear, right, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So that is the inner meaning it is said. That Krishna says, I am the super soul, all this he says, but actually what he means is that I am never separated from Vrindavan and never separated from all of you. That means I am always present in a special form for you in Vrindavan. That is what he says. Okay, and also in this purport, further very interesting, where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary, where it is said, when the gopis came for the rasa dance, Sri Krishna tried to preach karma yoga to them, emphasizing ordinary ethics and morality. But the gopis were beyond that. Similarly, Lord Krishna now offers them jnana yoga or metaphysical philosophy, but this is also inadequate for the gopis who have achieved spontaneous unalloyed love for Krishna. Okay? So this is a very, very exalted position of the residents of Vrindavan, which we cannot imitate. Very difficult for us to even understand. Just worship. No? That's why it is said, right? Ramya Kachi Dupasana Vrajavadu. That's greatest of all devotees. Okay, so at our level, what is more important is the Sambandha Jnana, understanding whatever we read about, right? Our Lord's is perverted everywhere, and that also invokes one's bhakti also, right? As I read, Bhakti Utpatti Vivridyarthat. That's how he says. The 10th chapter, Krishna says how, because Arjuna asked two questions, right? How I can see you in everything, and also he says how you are controlling everything, right? How your gunas as well as this, your controllership, both the things he is asking. Okay? So for at our stage, it is very important to have this Sambandha Jnana, that is very important. So that's why Prabhupada also says, right, we have to systematically read Bhagavad Gita. Do not directly jump to the 10th canto, because greatness is explained more in all these other chapters, correct? In 3rd chapter or even in 6th chapter, we see how the Devatas pray, and so many prayers also we see. The greatness of the Lord has to be first understood. Then we can, by our process of Shravanam Kirtanam, little bit we can also really see. For us it is simultaneous also. It is not that, right? we go for Yatra, Vrindavan Yatra, where we also release the great sweetness also. That is also there. But more important is both the aspects have to be understood. The greatness has to be understood first, then we can really appreciate Krishna's sweetness. Right? Otherwise, we may think Krishna's activities as normal, or what to speak is that even someone like Lord Brahma, who knows the greatness, still he was bewildered, right? We see this Brahma Vimohan Leela, how it is. Right? So then what to speak of us? So for us, very important is to understand Lord's greatness and then approach the aspect of Lord's sweetness also. Yeah, so we'll end now. So briefly what we discussed today was, we saw how this this Devatas are praying to the Lord, and we see similar prayers like this Gajendra praying that, please relieve me, but I do not want to come again also, right? Like this prayer, and Kunti Maharani's topmost prayer also we see. And then how the proper mood is like the Tattayanu Kampam. That is the proper mood of looking at any problems or difficulties in life. We saw that, and then we also saw how this three categories of devotees, Aishwaryarti, Kaivalyarti and Bhagavan Labharti, and how Krishna says, Veda Upadeya Bhavanam, how they should remember me at the time of death, or how they should practice, what is the practice they have. We saw that from the 8th chapter, how it is. And then we also saw, we also saw this Periyalvar's prayer also, how he is addressing the Aishwaryarti, this Andadipadaye Namaha and this Ashura Shatrave Namaha. We saw that also. And then we also saw that how just not knowing these things also is not, we should also actually truly have this aspiration and that expectation, the proper expectation from the Lord. We also saw that. And then we also saw from this aspect how Lord is in the super soul, how he is everything. Lord is everything. We saw that from the Aham Atma Gudakesha. We saw that also. That means everything is representing Krishna only. That way, right? Because Krishna is Antaryami of everything. Everything is Krishna's. Krishna is pervaded everywhere through his energy. Mainly as Paramatma is there, Antaryami. So anything can be addressed as Krishna. Anything can be seen as Krishna. That's the devotion. That is what is Krishna consciousness, right, Prabhupada? So we saw that, and then we also saw at the end how this devotees of Vrindavan, how they were so much absorbed in the sweetness and overwhelming love for the Lord. For them, this greatness was just, they were just overlooking that, which is quite exalted. We saw the example of Yashodamai and also of the gopis when Krishna writes a letter. So Krishna has an inner meaning, but externally it looks Krishna also speaks the same philosophy to the gopis of Vrindavan also, right? So, and basically for us, what is most important is to understand Lord's greatness while relishing his sweetness when we hear from great devotees. But for us, both these aspects are very important. Lord's greatness as well as sweetness. So that is what we saw today. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the class. And my question was, you read from one purport that Krishna is this Anyoraniyam. Krishna enters in the heart of the soul, which is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. So this means how to understand this. Generally we hear that Krishna is present in the body. Soul is also present in this body, and as Paramatma, Krishna is also present. But there Prabhupada is writing that Krishna enters in the soul, in the heart of the soul. So I might have read it before also, but today only it clicked.
One sense body is temporary also, no? Body gets
but destroyed. When the soul gets liberated, so that time Krishna as Paramatma does not go with the soul. This is what we have heard.
Yeah.
But here Prabhupada is telling that Krishna is entering in the heart of the soul. Yeah, means because he is smaller than this also. So then
what? Right, inconceivable. That is what. So Achintya Rupam, it says, Anuraniyam cha Anusmeredya Sarvatya Dataram Achintya Rupam. See, basically Krishna is there in the heart, means in the heart. Our heart means what? Atma only, right? We are Atma. So in the Atma's heart is what? Krishna is there. That's how it is. So Anuraniyan, because he is so small, so tiny. Atma is so tiny, Krishna is so tiny, he can enter into the Atma also.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Srivatsa Chandra, very grateful that you so sweetly explained the greatness of Lord. So I am very grateful to you and aspire to study Bhagavad Gita with you. So I don't know whether it is possible. It is so nectar it was. So thank you so much. My question is, Prabhu, you mentioned that actually just by knowing this all mixtures, Jnana Mishra and all, it's not going to help. What is going to help is what is there within. No, like that example of language person. At the same time, at the end, you concluded that understanding sambandha is important, understanding greatness of Lord is important. So from where this pure intention comes in, where the people like Vishnu Chittari just making garlands, Lord is happy, Lord is telling you go, doesn't know anything. Or other side, if you see South Indian Brahmana, he was not able to read also, but they attain perfection, and that's what we aspire for. So where this pure intention will come in us? Will it come by study, or will it come by faith or knowledge, or how? Can you please help?
Okay. So my understanding is, basically one is we should know. From our side, we should be 100%, we should know. That is why Prabhupada has written so many books. We should, from our side, we should try to know and understand and prepare ourselves in proper consciousness. But ultimately, all these higher things are actually Lord's mercy only. It is awarded by Lord is pure devotees. So without that, it is not possible. It is not something to be acquired, right? All these things are bestowed upon someone. So, what I am telling is, we, from our side, we should know what is the right aspiration, what is the right desire, what is the right expectation from the Lord. That is something we have to do from our side. But the pure greatest, like this overflowing love and all those things and all, that is not in our hands, right? That is all bestowed upon us, correct? That's how it is. See, all this are by mercy of the Lord. When Lord chooses certain devotees by seeing their inspiration and Lord's own costless mercy, right? Through His great devotees, that's how it is bestowed. So these things are not something by practice or something. It is all bestowed. That's how it is. If you see, that's how we say, sadhana bhakti and then other bhava bhakti, all these things are bestowed also. When we sincerely practice in this stage, then other things are sort of blessed upon us. That's how it is. That's my understanding. We add, correct? Because these things are. So if we say, how such devotees I have got, it is all Lord's. It's not something by one's. It's not possible, right? What we can do is we can only aspire and have the right expectation and aspiration. But then such love for the Lord, what is exhibited by these devotees and all, that is by Lord's arrangement, Lord's mercy only, and also mainly by devotees' mercy. Mercy of great devotees. That's how we get desire. If we associate with those devotees who have such pure desire, we will also develop that desire.
You mentioned Bhagavatarthi is more easier than Kavalarthi, like that you mentioned, right?
Yes.
But it's also mentioned Muktim Dadati Karichit Smana Bhakti, that Lord gives Mukti easily but not Bhakti that easily.
Okay, so what I am telling is, from the Kaivalyarthi side, it is more endeavor, na? See, from the Kaivalyarthi side, Krishna also says, right, the 12th chapter, Klesho Adhikataras Tesham. See, from the Kaivalyarthi side, Krishna may give easily, because see, that context is more of, it is very rare. How Bhakti is so rare, from that perspective it is told. It is not from the aspect of easiness, correct? See, Bhakti, Muktim Dadati, Bhakti Yogam is, it shows the rarity of Bhakti.
Right.
Bhakti is so rare, that is what is told. But from what we are talking about is from the sadhak, from the practitioner's perspective, for the Kaivalyarthi it is quite difficult, right? You are the Atma only, that Klesho Adhikatara, that's why Krishna says it's very difficult. So that verse is mainly from the rarity of devotional service. Well, Mukti is more easy, I can give you, but Bhakti is so rare from that perspective. But easiest process is obviously devotion is most easy, because it is Lord is taking extra care. Lord is saying, hey, one rare person is coming to me, He is awarding everything. He is Dadami Buddhi Yogantam, Tesham Evanagam. He is doing a lot of things from our side. He said, which is more easy, right? Obviously, correct. See, when we do, whereas the other person comes forward and see, suppose we want to meet Narendra Modi, it is so difficult. We have to, but he says, he comes and it is so easy, right? He makes arrangements for us. He says, I make all arrangements, you come and tell this, you come and meet me. More easy, right? Like that. So like that, Lord makes so many, He removes all obstacles and everything, and He makes things so easy, so that is why it is so easy. Tasya Sulabha Partha, Krishna says, right? So easy it is. Thank you. Hare.
When I studied Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, so this particular verse is quoted in Bhava Bhakti, which is very rare by Srila Rupa Goswami. And so it appears that it applies to Bhava Bhakta. Bhava Bhakti given is extremely rare. So for that he quotes this verse where the Pandavas, Krishna is becoming their servant actually. Not for Yadus, but only for Pandavas. Yadus, he has done many other things, but Pandavas is their menial servant. So that is something rare. That's what I just remembered.
Yeah,
I
very
felt of
rare.
sharing.
For example, this Periyador also what we are talking about, in his verse about glorifying him, you know what is so? Swasuram Amaravandyam Ranganadasya Sakshat. Is Swasura means father-in-law of Ranganadasya Sakshat. Can you imagine what position it is? He is a father-in-law of Lord Ranganath. So that is his glory. So in such a great advanced level, Lord reciprocates like that. So that's all. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.